Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we are reacting to how the US military smoked Russian mercenaries. Now this was a video request by someone who emailed it into me, but have asked not to be shouted out on the channel. So you know who you are. Thank you so much for emailing me and requesting a video with a link as well. The link always helps so I get the right video. So yeah, we're going to react to this video today, which is pretty fitting really for me because I'm quite close to the Ukrainian border and all that's going on now. So I'd like, this sort of stuff interests me as well, so I may as well have a look. But yeah, if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and if you're feeling extra frisky, you may as well hit the like button as well. Oh, and I just want to let everyone know that after I reacted to that barbecue video yesterday, I could not satisfy my hunger. I was eating everything I could find till about 10 o'clock last night, and I'm still not satisfied hunger-wise. Anyway, I know that's a bit of a random one, but geez, like that barbecue food looked amazing. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into how the US military smoked Russian mercenaries.
When the first vehicle in the convoy suddenly blew up, the Russian mercenaries knew something was wrong. Their objective, to capture an oil field in eastern Syria, was supposed to be a routine mission. The enemy, they knew by then, would have fled long ago at the sight of 500 battle-hardened Russian and Syrian fighters. But instead, the attack had come to an abrupt halt, and explosion after explosion shook the ground.
I tell you what, that must be the scariest thing. Okay, I know they're mercenaries and they, like you said, they battled hardened, but you're just cruising along, all of a sudden, death just falls from the air. So freaky.
An explosion after explosion shook the ground.
Watch this.
It wasn't long before AC-130 gunships, Predator drones, Apache helicopters, and
those
fighter
Apaches
jets were circling over the battle.
I think those Apache helicopters just look so badass, don't
Predator
they?
drones,
Watch them.
Apache helicopters,
Look at it.
and fighter jets were circling over the battlefield, pounding the attackers from every imaginable angle. What the Russian forces didn't know was that the oil field was not defended by any fighters, but by American Special Operations Forces, supported by the most powerful air force in the world. And so, within a few minutes, the routine mission turned into hell on earth and into one of the deadliest engagements for the notorious Russian mercenary group Wagner. To stop the rapid advance of the self-proclaimed Islamic State, the U.S. had deployed troops in Syria since 2014. They supported the so-called Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF.
That's what gets me with all this stuff. Look at those little kids. Just watch them. Those innocent little kids. Look. That's what really gets me about all of the stuff that happens around the world is the kids. Like, I've got two children who I love more than life itself, and I could not imagine them going through something like what these kids have had to go through. And then, not only that, but then growing up to be a normal, functioning human being after seeing so much violence all your life. So I really, really feel for these kids, and it breaks my freaking heart. It genuinely does. Look at them. All so innocent, so young.
Democratic Forces, or SDF. A year later, Russia also intervened in the fight against ISIS, but on the side of Assad's Syrian government forces. The SDF and the Syrian army were never seen as allies, but in keeping with the saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," both parties at least mostly avoided each other. After years of fighting, both armies managed to drive out the terrorists.
Those dogs,
and by 2018, ISIS
dogs.
held only a fraction of its original bases. To prevent an unintended conflict between Russian and US-supported armies, a deconfliction line was formed along the Euphrates River, which effectively bisects Syria. In addition, both parties were able to contact each other through special telephone channels that were kept clear at any time. But despite all these precautions, on February 7th, just a few miles from the Euphrates River, the first deadly clash between Russians and Americans since the Cold War occurred. Late in the evening of February 7th, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters...
I've never even heard of this, to be honest with you. That's how crazy it is. Like, you don't hear about the smaller skirmishes and that happen. You don't hear about them. I've never heard of this.
Late in the evening of February 7th, 2018, 500 Russian and Syrian fighters attacked an SDF military base. The base was located about 5 miles east of the Euphrates River and controlled one of the country's main oil fields.
Always oil.
Thus, like most oil fields, the area was officially on the Syrian Democratic side of the ceasefire line. But this did not stop the Syrian-Russian troops in any way. The attackers were supported by various Russian-made battle tanks, as well as mortars, artillery, and rocket launchers, with which they began shelling the SDF base without warning. In addition, Russian Air Force aircraft were on standby to provide air support, but
Also, it's
initially
a
remained on the
full-out
ground.
battle.
However, while everything was initially going according to plan for the attacking forces, the phone suddenly rang in the Russian headquarters near the Euphrates. A representative of the U.S. military was on the line and wanted to know whether Russian fighters were currently trying to take the military base at the Conoco oil fields. Here, not only the Syrian Democratic Forces were under heavy artillery fire, but also their allies, American Green Berets, Army Rangers, Marines, and various support units. After the Russians had explicitly denied the question whether the enemy were their troops, it was clear to the caller. Whoever was currently taking fire at his soldiers, he would feel the full force of the American military in just a few moments.
You done f***ed up now. Damn.
Feel the
Imagine
full
being
force of the
yeah,
American
it's not us,
military
mate.
in just a
Yeah,
few moments.
well, you should have pulled back.
The response to the attack on their military base was prompt and tremendous. Even before the Russian convoy reached its starting position for the attack, the first and last vehicles were taken out in a classic ambush maneuver.
Flippin' heck, you won't
trapping
even
the
know
forces
what's
in the
happening.
middle. The missiles came from an American Reaper.
Tell you what, even these drones look badass. They look like little aliens with their little funny faces, like they're just
trapping the forces
fearless.
in the middle. The missiles
Look at
came
them.
from an American Reaper drone, which had been targeting the
Reaper,
convoy for
perfect
some
name.
time. However, to the Russian Wagner mercenaries on the ground, the drone was invisible, and they had a hard
That's
time
even
understanding
worse.
where the fire suddenly came from. It didn't take long for more shells to hit, spreading chaos on the battlefield. American artillery and HIMARS rocket launchers engaged the convoy, inflicting numerous casualties. While the Russian forces were still trying to realize what was happening, 4 Apache helicopters
Oh, look at
appeared on the
that.
horizon.
I love them.
Although the gunships were several miles away, no one could hide from their precise infrared optics. The laser-guided Hellfire missiles found their target in the Russian battle tanks, while the 30mm
when's it
cannon
going?
forced the enemy infantry to withdraw. Few of them
Gone.
were able to escape the explosive shells, and a Russian survivor later reported that they suffered about 200 casualties within the
Flippin'
first
heck.
few minutes, almost half of the entire attack force. The reports that are on TV about, well, you know, about Syria and the 25 people that are wounded there from the Syrian army, well, to make it short, we've had our kicked. So one squadron lost 200 people. Right away, another one lost 10 people. And I don't know about the 3rd squadron, but it got torn up pretty badly too. So 3 squadrons took a beating. The Yankees attacked. First, they blasted
Yankees
the
attacked.
out of us by artillery.
This
And then
is brilliant.
The
Read,
Yankees
like-
attacked. First, they blasted the out of us by artillery. And then they took 4 helicopters up and pushed us in a merry-go-round with heavy caliber machine guns. They were
I know it's not funny, people have lost their lives and everything. It's just the way this guy's reading it as well.
pushed us in a
Like a fucking merry-go-round.
with heavy caliber machine guns. They were all shelling the holy out of it, and our guys didn't have anything besides the assault rifles. Nothing at all, not even mentioning shoulder-fired SAMs or anything like that. So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees
SAMs,
knew for
is that
sure-
surface-to-air missiles? I don't know. I'm not really clued up on them.
So they tore us to pieces for sure, put us through hell. And the Yankees knew for sure that the Russians were coming, that it was us, Russians. Our guys were coming to commandeer an oil refinery, and the Yankees were holding it. We got our beat rough. My men called me. They're there drinking now. Many have gone missing. It's a total it sucks.
This
Another
guy's reading
takedown.
brilliant.
While AC-130 gunships circled over the battlefield engaging individual targets, large B-52 strategic bombers completely destroyed the convoy.
Flippin' heck. They
Those
sent
who managed to
everything,
escape
including
hid
the
in
kitchen
buildings,
sink.
But even there, they were not safe for long. Those who managed to escape
Look at
hid
that.
in buildings.
Gone.
But even there, they were not safe for long. Late into the night, the attackers were hunted by F-15 fighter jets, whose bombs penetrated even the best cover. The new 5th-generation air superiority fighter F-22 Raptor was also used. But for the soldiers on the ground, it no longer made any difference who was pounding them. The Russian contractors did not stand a chance against the American Air Force. Although there were rumors that some pilots from the nearby Russian airbase were asking for permission to take off, the blue-painted Su-34s and 35s remained on the ground. The attackers' casualties were so heavy that in the middle of the battle, one of the Russian commanders called in and asked for a ceasefire, indicating that Russian military was in contact with the attacking fighters after all. A published call from a mercenary sums up events in Syria. Just had a call with a guy, so they basically formed a convoy, but didn't get to their positions by some 300 meters. One unit moved forward. The convoy remained in place about 300 meters from the others. The others raised the American flag, and their artillery started ours really hard. Then their choppers flew in and started everybody.
This is brilliant.
Ours just running around.
I apologize if it offends you that I'm laughing, because I know people lost their laughs, but just the way this guy is reading it is, and like, I live in Slovakia, so I know, I've met some Russian people. I know their accents. I know how they speak. I'm hearing it in a Russian accent, and it's cracking me up.
The choppers flew in and started everybody. Ours just running around. Just got a call from a pal, so they're about 215 killed. They simply rolled ours out hard. Made their point.
Made their point.
Ours were hoping for in there. That they'll run away themselves? Hope to scare them away? Lots of people so bad they can't be ID'd. There were no foot soldiers on the American side. They simply our convoy with artillery. When the battle ended early next morning, there was nothing left of the convoy of vehicles. All combat vehicles have been destroyed, with the exception of a single battle tank and armored personnel carrier. Of approximately 500 Russian and Syrian attackers, at least 200 were killed or wounded. One of the mercenaries later reported that in some places they found solidified melted sand and gun barrels bent from the heat. There were no casualties on the American side and no reports of damaged aircraft. Only one of the SDF soldiers in the base at the oil field was wounded by Russian fire, but survived. The incident sparked outrage on both Russian and Syrian sides, but since the Americans had repeatedly reassured themselves through the Russian officials, they could not be blamed.
Yeah, I mean, they asked, didn't they? They asked if it was them, and if you deny that it's you, of course you're gonna,
reassured themselves through the Russian officials. They could not be blamed. According to intercepted phone calls between the leader of Wagner and Russian ministers, the attack was even said to be an order from Moscow. For Wagner Group fighters, the Battle of Conoco Fields went down in history as Red February and was one of their most humiliating engagements. At least some of them received a medal specially made for this event. It shows a Russian soldier surrounded by flames, heroically shooting at an American Apache helicopter. A scene that probably never took place in this way. The Syrian Democratic Forces and their American allies had successfully defended the base at the oil field and continued to fortify it. The demonstration of their superior air power was meant to be a warning to any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people.
Yeah, but anybody who thought about attacking that oil field again was like, actually, we don't need that one. Flipping heck.
Any hostile forces not to mess with the wrong people.
They obliterated everything.
Interestingly, when Syrian and Russian fighters gathered in the area again about a month later, the Americans once more contacted the Russian commander in charge. This time, it was not long after the end of the phone call that the entire Russian-Syrian fighting force hastily withdrew. For those who made it this far, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
If you want to help us produce more...
That goes for you guys as well. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far. Holy smokes, I've never heard of that battle. Yeah, I don't like to... I'm not laughing at people lost their lives, obviously. I don't want any... I'm the kind of person who doesn't want anybody to lose their life, you know? I know there's a lot of bad, really bad people out there, but like, okay, they were mercenaries, so are they doing their job as like a... I don't know. So I hope you don't take offense that I was laughing at people, you know, getting blown up and stuff. It's not a funny thing, I know that. But they did ask them, and they warned them. That's so... Who's to blame? Nobody, like the mercenaries and the Syrians who are coming to the oil field. I mean, obviously, the Americans are going to defend it. That's what they're there for. But flippin' heck, they got annihilated. annihilated. Their guns were melting. The sand was turning to glass. Holy smokes. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch these videos. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, because it does help me grow this channel and then keep producing more videos. Anyway, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.